Hello class, this is Mr. Broussard, and I'm sending you this video for the 10th week of our beginning English course for the fall of 2020. I hope you're all doing well. This video is a day earlier than it normally is because, in case some of you are not aware, there's a hurricane in the Gulf, or it will be a hurricane again soon, Hurricane Zeta, or Tropical Storm Zeta at this very moment, and the projected landing spot for it is here. In fact, the center of the eye is supposed to land at the Biloxi Yacht Club, and due to that, we have not announced anything as far as whether or not campus will be open over the next couple of days, but I want to send this video principally in case we are closed, because I do know I think Biloxi High or Biloxi Public Schools, a few other school districts have decided to close for the next couple of days, and therefore, we want to be cautious as far as what we're doing, as whether or not we want to be here or it's safe for us to be here. And therefore, it's a good idea to send this video today in case I'm not here today, tomorrow, or even Friday. So that's why we were sending the video today. Just to kind of let you know what it is that we are doing as far as class. We, of course, are in the final overall section, and the chapters that you were supposed to read have already been assigned to you to read Chapter 7, the narrative rhetorical mode, and Chapter 16, the chapter on essay writing. You will have a proctored phrases and clauses quiz coming up. I, in fact, will set that up next week. I had a Zoom training only a few hours ago about one of the systems we may use. I will decide between now and then. We would either use Respondus or HonorBlock for your proctored exam. So what you will do is, because in general, this would be a proctored exam, and you would go to the proctored site. But all of the proctored exam site times and spaces were locked up in the first week of this semester. So any other classes that didn't get in, you will be doing it on your own computer, either on a laptop or desktop or whatever it is, but you'll be doing it on your own, but through a system that will allow academic integrity to still rule the day. And that if it were to catch you in any shenanigans, well, being brutally honest, you do that on this, you fail the course. You just straight fail the course. If you want to try it, but you will fail the course regardless of what you have in any prior grades. So I will decide that and set that up next week, and then you'll have a few weeks to make sure you get that phrases and clauses quiz completed. It'll be a more practical quiz than one just, not a regurgitation information type quiz. It's more of a, hey, is this or is this that? Does this underlined word mean this or does it mean that? So, or is it this or is it that? That's basically how the quiz is going to be. So it's a little more practical. It won't take you too long, but we do have to have one proctored simply just to make sure you say you are, and that you don't just have a whole semester where somebody else is doing your work for you. If you tend to bomb out on this and you do amazing work in other directions, we reserve the right to straight fail you, because then we think there's some academic integrity issues, and we can just fail you off of that alone. So you will take that, but it won't be set up till next week, and then you'll have a few weeks after that to get everything set up and do the quiz itself. Again, it won't take too long. It's more along the line. I mean, the quiz is a needed quiz that would be done even if this wasn't proctored or through the systems that we will use. But this is part of a mandatory, and all online courses have to have at least one proctored or online proctor, I guess, quiz or test. So this will be yours. So that will also come up. So, and of those two things, the narrative essay, the proctored phrases and clauses quiz, and journal entry 6 are the last three things you have in this course. I'm going to wait on journal 6. I'll probably get that set up for next week to be then do the following week. We've got a little time to play with, so it's rather nice. But anything and everything else in this course is to either go over the phrases and clauses chapter that you've already read, to use that to help you prepare for the proctored quiz, and then other than that, work on the narrative essay, and then that one last journal that I'll probably get set up next week for you to do for a week later. And that's the course, believe it or not. We're coming up that fast. And overall, y'all have done actually a pretty decent job. So could be better, yes, but it could also be a lot worse. In general, for an online beginning course, they all have actually done pretty well. So feel good about what you have accomplished, but don't lax off at the end because you're getting this close. Work as hard as you can through the end of this class, through this course, and then take that into your Comp 1 course when you take that in the spring. So I do want to go into a little more detail when it comes to in particular essay writing and how those things should put their self forth, because you've already done paragraph writing, but you know how an individual paragraph can have all the structures of an essay, but done in just the paragraph. Well, now you have the structure of an essay, but it's going to be into 5 paragraphs. So there's certain things that are needed within each of those paragraphs. There's certain types of paragraphs within an essay and certain functions that they serve that you need to be aware of. The first paragraph is always called the thesis paragraph, and that's because that's where the thesis statement will be. The thesis statement is the controlling idea of the entire essay. It's a topic or idea and your slant or opinion on that topic or idea. And the thesis statement is always, let me repeat that, always the last sentence of the thesis paragraph. That first paragraph, which is the thesis paragraph, the last sentence is always the thesis statement. It is the controlling idea of the entire essay, and it is a topic or idea and your slant or opinion on that topic or idea. Note how I repeated that, and that means it's important, so please pay attention. But there's a certain function within the entirety of the thesis paragraph and what needs to be. You need to have a light introductory sentence that starts it out. This book's probably the most vague moment in the entire essay is that very first sentence. And then you need to narrow your focus down a little more, and what we call the lead-in. It leads you into what you will be writing about, from the vagueness to then a honed and narrow focus. And then your third sentence of the thesis paragraph needs to be what's called the hook. It's what grabs the reader's attention. You really have 3 spots to grab the reader's attention. Your title, be creative, don't be boring, don't be academic. The hook, which is generally the third sentence of that first paragraph, of that thesis paragraph, the third sentence, the hook. And then the last sentence of the first paragraph, the thesis statement itself, the last sentence of the thesis paragraph. But between those two things, between the hook and the thesis statement, you will have what we know as the essay map, which is basically gives your reader a heads up of what it is content-wise you will be what you will be writing about and what they will be reading about. And in that essay map, basically tell them, hey, the first body paragraph's this, the second one's that, and the third's that. Only you do it in you don't say it like I just said. You just kind of have it laid out there for the reader in the order in which you do eventually write about in the body paragraphs. So there's your 5 elements: the light introductory sentence, the lead-in, the hook, the essay map, and the thesis statement. And that's the proper 5 elements of a proper thesis paragraph, which then leads you into something I've already given you a heads up on, the body paragraphs. Note graphs, multiple, 3, at least 3 body paragraphs. And that gives the information about what you are discussing. And that information then backs up that thesis statement. Everything in your essay needs to back up that thesis statement with the guidance of the essay map. And in many cases, you can actually merge that essay map in with the thesis statement if it works well for a sentence, because they all work in one. The elements of the essay map backs up the thesis statement. The elements of those body paragraphs backs up the thesis statement. And even within those body paragraphs, generally the first sentence, although it can be the last or the second, depending on how your paragraphs are structured, body paragraph structured, you have a topic sentence. The topic sentence is the controlling idea of the paragraph. As a thesis statement is the controlling idea of the essay, the topic sentences of each body paragraph are the controlling idea of those individual body paragraphs. And again, it'll either be the first sentence, the second sentence, or the last one, depending on your structure. 90% of the time, the topic sentence is the first sentence of a body paragraph. Sometimes there's a need for a little transition sentence to go before it, and that's when you would have your topic sentence be second. And I would advise this last bit only if it's the last body paragraph. Sometimes just the way you want to restructure differently, you will have your topic sentence as the last sentence of the body paragraph. But my advice is on that. You would only do that for the last body paragraph as a lead into the concluding paragraph, which I'll go into a little more detail in a little bit. But the body paragraph structure. The first or the last sentence of your body paragraph needs to be the topic sentence, the controlling idea of the entire paragraph. If you do not have it as a topic sentence, then the first and or last sentence of that body paragraph needs to be a transitional sentence to lead you from one paragraph to another. Your transition sentences just as you have transition words, transition phrases, transition clauses, transitional sentences, basically allows for linking together of the ideas between those body paragraphs without having one bleed on to the other. So it keeps them together, but also separate. You never want to have the topic of a body paragraph bleed from one paragraph to the other. You want them linked together through that transition, but you don't want them bleeding on top of each other, because then your reader might get confused and wondering what arguments and ideas backs up this topic or that topic, and they might be confused if you do that. So utilizing transitional sentences affords you the ability to link them together, because all linking together backs up the thesis statement, but also keeps them apart. So that's what you do, either your first or your last sentence of a body paragraph, if it is not your topic sentence. The internal sentences of a body paragraph, well, that is the concrete detail, the structure, the information, the there. That's the information that you will have that then backs up the topic sentence, and then combining all three of those body paragraphs backs up the thesis statement. So you'll do it at least 3 times with 3 different topics that will then back up that thesis that you'll be bringing up. And again, you have that, and they'll all be nice and flowy, because you want a smooth logical flow from the beginning of the essay to the end with no start, no stops, no stall outs, no running into the ditch. So you have your thesis paragraph, you have your 3 bodies at least. You can have more if you want, but have at least 3 body paragraphs. And then that last body paragraph will then transition itself into the concluding paragraph. And the very first sentence of the concluding paragraph is the concluding statement. And a concluding statement is basically rehash the thesis without rehashing the thesis. And so you hear me say that and you're like, what does that mean? Easiest way I can say it is this. In a thesis statement, you're saying you're doing something. In the concluding statement, you're saying you've done it. Same ideas, reword it, restructure it to where it's not the same way, subject, predicate to predicate subject, utilize different words, but you're basically saying the same thing, only, again, in the thesis statement, you're saying you're going to do it. In the concluding statement, you're saying you have done it. And that's important because that leads to the entire internal parts of the concluding paragraph, which bring out the broader implications of what you have done. It's so that the reader doesn't understand that this isn't just in a vacuum. These ideas aren't just in a vacuum of just this essay, that there's broader implications about what we have discussed and how to bring that to the world at hand. So in a sense, you start out broad and you narrow your focus, and you remain tightly honed and focused from the thesis statement all the way down to the concluding statement, and then you broaden back out through through the internal sentences of the concluding paragraph, broader implications, large implications of what you've discussed. And then the very last sentence is the emphatic close, shut the door, drop the mic, walk off stage. Boom, you're done, you're good. And that's how to do a proper essay. As far as the structure of the traditional 5-paragraph essay. Now, hopefully, as you go along into Comp 1 and beyond, you'll go beyond the 5-paragraph structure. Because while it's a good formula to go for, it's still formulaic in its nature, of course, and you're going to want to be able to branch out of it. But considering this is a beginning English course, we need to just get the basics down. And so we need to be formulaic. That's perfectly fine here. You can still have some formulaicness when you get to a Comp 1, but you want to start breaking out of it, in particular, because once you get to a Comp 2 and any type of classes beyond that, you don't want to be just doing, automatic 5-paragraph essays, because then there's no soul behind it. Since there's no thought process behind it. It becomes just a formulaic, automatic, boom, 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 boom. And while we want to be able to learn that from now, we want to use that and then expand beyond that so that you can write more higher quality essays as you go along as a sophomore, and then eventually go to a university as a junior or senior and beyond that. So that's the structural things when it comes to proper essay writing. So I wanted to make sure I went over that with you. All these things are noted in the textbook, but I've learned some of you don't read the textbook. So I want to at least be able to say I said it to you. And so hopefully you watch this video and then have an understanding of what I meant when it comes to that. Now, of course, hopefully you read chapter 16, and maybe, hopefully, just maybe, in reading the chapter and then hearing me say it, it clicks with you. Either some of you will be able to read that and you get it. It's perfectly fine. Some people won't. Some of you may be able to hear me and see me as I'm saying it, and you get it that way, and some of you won't. But as long as you've hit one or the other, that's fine. And if you hit both, you'll probably even be more solid. So that's why I want to do that for you. And that's it as far as this week is concerned. A reminder, there's a good chance I might not be here for the next couple of days. None of us will be here for the next couple of days. So be aware of that. If you're needing to contact me, don't freak out if you can't get a hold of me, because I might not be able to get a hold of anyone or respond or have the ability to. So just get done what you can. Stay safe. Your safety goes first no matter what. And keep up with our Gulf Coast website through your email. Though to be brutally honest, and if you've dealt with this before, you know how this goes. Probably about 3:34 in the morning tomorrow, you will have this thing will blow up on you, and a phone call will happen, and that'll let you know what we are or aren't doing. You'll be texted, you'll be called. Don't worry, we'll let you know what's going on with us at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. I hope you're all well, and I will send you another video next week.